Prabhuji for the introduction of today's speaker. So Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam to all the devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev. Thank you Mataji for offering me the service to introduce Prabhuji. So here is a brief introduction of His Grace Vrindanath Prabhuji. His Grace Vrindanath Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He is practicing Krishna consciousness for many years. He is serving Sri Sri Radha Kunja Vihari at Detroit ISKCON as a pujari. He is a Bhakti Vriksha leader, cultivating and guiding many devotees of Troy and Sterling Heights community in Bhakti Yoga practice. Every year he organizes Sri Krishna Janmashtami festival in Troy, Sterling Heights for the benefit of local community. He also engages Bhakti Vriksha members in the temple services. His classes on Bhagavad Gita, Journey of Self-Discovery, Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Ram Katha give the message of Bhakti Yoga in a simple and understandable way. He also organizes yearly Bhagavad Gita Shloka recitation competition for encouraging kids to learn shlokas and understand the message of Bhagavad Gita. He is encouraging kids to learn Sanskrit and Hindi, for which he has started language classes as a service. We are very fortunate to have him on the call today. So thank you Prabhuji for your valuable association. Also sincere thanks to all the participants. So now I would like to request Prabhuji to take over the call. Thank you Prabhuji for your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much Prabhuji for this kind and elaborate introduction. I don't know how much that is valuable or true, but thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam for my own benefit, to serve the devotees and Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nestiki. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, Text 42. Kasya manaste bhuvi bhogi bhogayo istriya na sajayet bhujayor mahabhuja jo anat vargadhim alam granodat samitavaloke charataya apohitum. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O mighty arms, who in this world will not be attracted by your arms, which are just like the bodies of serpents? Actually, you relieve the distress of husbandless women like us by your attractive smile and your aggressive mercy. We think that you are traveling on the surface of earth just to benefit us only. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When a husbandless woman is attacked by an aggressive man, she takes his action to be a mercy. A woman is generally very much attracted by a man's long arms. A serpent's body is round and it becomes narrower and thinner at the end. The beautiful arm of a man appear to a woman just like serpents, and she very much desires to be embraced by such arms. The word Anatha Varga is very significant in this verse. Natha means husband and A means without. A young woman who has no husband is called Anath, meaning one who is not protected. As soon as a woman attains the age of puberty, she immediately becomes very much agitated by sexual desire. It is therefore the duty of father to get his daughter married before she attains puberty. Otherwise, she will be very much mortified by not having a husband. Anyone who satisfies her satisfies her desire for sex at that age becomes a great object of satisfaction. It is a psychological fact that when a woman at the age of puberty meets a man and the man satisfies her sexually, she will love that man for the rest of her life, regardless who he is. Thus, so-called love within this material world is nothing but sexual satisfaction. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarine Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Vishnupristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavidanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurakshe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so reading the translation once again. O mighty armed, who in this world will not be attracted by your arms, which are just like the bodies of a serpent. Actually, you relieve the distress of husbandless women like us by your attractive smiles and your aggressive mercy. We think that you are traveling on the surface of earth just to benefit us only. And I will try to cover next couple of verses also to convey the message in a proper way. So the next verse, the great sage Narada continued, my dear king, those two, the man and the woman, supporting one another through mutual understanding, entered that city and enjoyed the life for 100 years. Many professional singers used to sing about the glories of King Puranjan and his glorious activities. When it was too hot in summer, he used to enter a reservoir of water. He would surround himself with many women and enjoy their company. So, the topic which we have been reading in Srimad Bhagavatam, that is 4th canto, 25th chapter. This is the description of the activities of King Puranjan. So Narad Muni approaches the king Prachinabhari, who is very much attracted to the materialistic, ritualistic activities, the Karma Kanda activities, for the purpose of more and more sense enjoyment within this material world by performing those Karma Kandi activities. And Narad Muni, being a great preacher, he approaches the king to bring him on the right path, to awaken up his sleeping consciousness, his attraction for the material enjoyment is so deep, to shake up him, Narad Muni describes a allegorical story of King Puranjan. So it's not like as a something real story. It is a allegory, which is a story based on some philosophical points to convey the message. एक कथा जो कि दार्शनिक सिद्धांतों पे आधारित है. So Narad Muni start telling about this King Puranjan. So just to give you the brief in the background, what is going on. So he tells about King Puranjan, who is roaming around with his friend Abhigya. Abhigya means who is unknown, and they both are wandering around. He is trying to find the source of happiness, and he approaches a city. The city is named Navdwarapuri, the city with the 9 gates. And the description of this city is described. It's a very beautiful city with all the lakes and ponds and reservoirs, nice trees, and as he is outside the city, on the outskirts of that city, he saw one woman coming out of the city. She is covered by a 5-hooded snake on her head, guarded by many soldiers and accompanied by different servants. So she is looking very attractive, and he approaches her, asking her who you are, who is your father, why are you roaming around, are you looking for a husband? And this is what discussion is going on. So she gives her introduction, and she is also being attracted to Puranjana. And this verse describes she is also being attracted by Puranjana, describing, "O mighty armed, who in this world will not be attracted by your arms, which are just like the bodies of the serpent? Actually, you relieve the distress of husbandless women like us by your attractive smiles and mercy. We think that you are traveling on the surface of earth just to benefit us only." And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada described the nature of the woman. She wants to feel protected. She wants to satisfy her desires, and she is always looking for a worthy, suitable person to care for him. So the word lust used in the purport, or the word sex used in the purport, is in one particular context. The Sanskrit word generally used to describe lust or desires is kama. So the kama word, when translated, it is translated in different contexts. One meaning of that word kama, when translated, it becomes lust, which is attraction for the physical union, the sexual interaction. So that is one sort of kama. Another meaning of kama is desires in general. So the lust is both gross and subtle. So this kama is both gross and subtle. In the gross sense, this kama is in form of physical union, the sexual intercourse. But the subtle meaning of lust is desire for wealth, desire for adoration, desire for opulence, desire for ornaments and name and fame. All these things are in one sense come in category of lust. It's a subtle lust. And for women, the lust is more in the form of a subtle lust, because they are more inclined to get adoration, protection, ornaments, and facilities of life through a suitable man. And sometimes we see or we read in the Shastras, in Prabhupada purport, where it describes the woman is described as 10 times more lustier than a man. When we read that kind of a statement, it seems to be very radical statement, that how come a woman is portrayed as 10 times more lusty than a man. But here, the point to understand is the lust word here, the kama, is described in the subtle form, because the woman has much more inclination to get adoration, to get some sort of sense of protection, sense of appreciation. So that's why this is described that woman is 10 times more less here, because they want to be protected at all stages of life. A woman is to be protected by her father when she is young, and then she is to be protected by the husband, and later on she is to be protected by the children, by the son. So she is to be protected in all stages of life. Now here it is described the woman is attracted by the strong arm of man. Again, the point is to convey that the woman feel protected, thinking that this particular person is capable of offering me protection. He is capable of offering me the various necessities of life. He can take care of me. And the woman naturally wants to surrender to such man, taking him to be her beloved husband. So woman is naturally satisfied with the man who offers her such protection, who offers her all these facilities of life and all the bodily needs as well. And the one very important point which Prabhupada described in the purport, it is described that a woman, as soon as she gets in the age of puberty, so the lust starts to manifest. Lust becomes manifested in the heart. And this is a very common scenario as kids are growing. It's not does not apply only to girls actually. But the focus here, based on the context of these verses, is on the woman. But it is true for both man and woman, a boy and a girl. When they come to the age of puberty, the desires which are hidden in the heart, or the tendencies, there is a difference in desire and tendencies. That's why in Padma Purana it's described two different words, kutam and bijam. So kutam refers to the tendencies which are hidden in the heart, and bijam is the desires which lead to the action. So the tendencies lead to desires, desires lead to action. So as a boy and girl come to the age of puberty, the hidden tendencies, they evoke up based on the environment. When the suitable environment is provided, those tendencies wake up and they give rise to desires to act in certain way. So the girl, as she gets the age of puberty, she is attracted to the opposite gender, finding somebody who she feels attracted to. In terms of the attraction is manifold. The attraction could be because of the bodily features. The attraction could be because of the intrinsic qualities of the person. So there are many factors. But in today's world, right, the world we live in, the main source of attraction is external beauty. Boy and girl, they get attracted to looking at each other. Oh, this person looks very handsome. This girl looks very beautiful. So the attraction, the main source of attraction is just the external looks. Earlier in the olden times, the family of the girl or the family of the boy, they will try to find a suitable girl or boy based on their qualities. If he is well settled, if he has a really good gentleman or gentlewoman qualities, and if they are suitable for each other, their qualities match or not, that is the primary criteria. But these days, mostly people are attracted towards each other because of physical attraction, because of the sex impulse. So here it is described, as soon as the girl reaches the age of puberty, rather than she being attracted to somebody who may not be very suitable for her, it is the duty of the father to find a suitable person and get her married. And that's why in the olden times, in the Vedic system, the system of early marriage was there, which we know more commonly as Bal Vivah. They will get the boy and girl married at a very young age, before even these lusty desires start to manifest, so that they already have this sense of feeling that he is my master or she is my better half. So they already have a person in their life whom they dedicate all their life. But the system of early marriage is not to promote a earlier involvement in physical union or the sexual intercourses. The purpose is to have them linked with each other, thinking that we are to live for each other, to care for each other, and they are cultivated in that way. Even though the girl is married at a young age to another boy, but she's still in that system. She still continues to live at the house of the father until she reaches at the young age, what we call as age of adultery, or become adults. In Hindi, we use the word balig, right? So they still continue to live at their respective homes, and then there is a ceremony after that age has reached that the boy goes to the house of the girl and then bring her to her home, to his home. So the early marriage system was to give the due protection to the woman and for the man also, so they don't go astray, finding somebody to satisfy their senses. The today's culture, today's system is completely distorted system. The degradation in current society has gone to such extent that people, what to speak of marriage arrangement, they just want to mingle up with each other, have multiple relationships before they eventually enter into the married life, if they actually enter. A lot of people, they just want to stay like that. They say, oh, we don't want to enter into the marriage relationship, it is a burden, better we just live with whomever we feel like, for as long as we satisfy each other's mutual desires, mutual needs, and if we don't feel attracted to each other, we can get separated. And the current system, this Hollywood, Bollywood, all these movies, these are degrading the system further more and more. It is the whatever is portrayed in the movies, the young generation try to look up to that. They consider them as their role model, and they learn more from movies. The movies, Bollywood, Hollywood has become the gurus of the young generation. There is so much of this concept of live-in relationship these days. That's a complete degradation of human society. And people go to such extent claiming that, oh, in the scriptures also, when we hear about Lord Krishna, he also had a relationship with the gopis. He never married the gopis, he never married Radharani, but he used to live with them, he used to mingle up with them. People come up with all sort of these concoctions to promote their own whimsical ideas, because they don't understand that relationship of Krishna with the gopis, relationship of Krishna with Radharani, and they just use this also as an excuse to satisfy their whims. And in the society, because of these movies or the culture which is coming up, so much of violence is happening, so much of aggression is happening, forcefully engagement in the sexual activities, rapes, all these things are happening. Whom to blame for that? Is that the person who is committing that offense, who had all these lusty desires? Is that person to be blamed? Is the woman need to be blamed because of the woman, they do not dress up properly? They are the current generation, the young generation, they want to show off. The size of the dresses is shrinking and shrinking more and more, shorter and shorter dress. So are the women need to be blamed? Is the current movie system need to be blamed? Is the education system need to be blamed? So whom to be blamed for this degradation of society? Can a woman say, oh, it is my independence, I choose what I dress up or not, it is my choice what I want to dress, I have a complete freedom, complete independence? But the other person, they should not look at us in a lusty way. They should not feel welcomed because of our dressing sense. Is that a genuine statement? Other person who commits that offense, he may say, oh, these girls, these women are dressing up so vulgarly. It is like an open invitation. And then both of them together, they may blame on the current movie system or what is shown in the movies that is spoiling the brains of the people, their consciousness, their intelligence, and the senses are aroused to act in that way. So whom to be actually blamed? So we should understand. If I give you an analogy, so if a person is walking through a dark valley in the middle of the night, and this person is having a lot of money in his pockets, and all that money is popping out from his pockets. It's showing off from his pocket. And as he's walking through this dark alley, there are some thieves, some people who have these tendencies to attack people and steal away all their wealth. They look at this person, they look at all these $100 bills coming out of his pocket. So they want to attack that person and snatch all that money. So they take away all that money. Now this person goes to the police and report a complaint that I was walking through this dark alley and somebody attacked me and stole away all my money. And the police does the inquiry why you were going first of all alone in the dark valley, and why you were not keeping your money a little more secured, why you were just keeping it as an open invitation for somebody to come and steal that property. So police can make that argument to this person itself, but still it is the duty of the police to find the culprit and give the imprisonment to that culprit. It is no way justifiable that even if the person is showing off his wealth, somebody can come and steal away the wealth. But at the same time, this person is also at mistake. He should have used more caution, more care. The same way, the responsibility mutually lies on both parties. So in the current society, the women, they need to be more sensible, dress up in a sensible way, not to show off their body to others, to feel them welcome to come and attack on them. At the same time, the other person also have a proper education, proper training system to curb these lusty tendencies. So all these different elements actually are culprit. Everybody at their own places need to correct themselves, to educate themselves. And the whole burden goes to the education system, because the current education system is also so degraded. The women and men, the boys and girls are allowed to mingle up with each other. And Prabhupada writes in his purport, the boy and girl, it's like the flame and the butter. As soon as the butter come in contact with the flame, it has a tendency, it will melt. So both need to stay separated, keep separated at till certain age, until they become adults, and then they should find some suitable life partner and stay in the householder life. Otherwise, this whole system is getting more and more degraded. The movies are showing so much vulgarity, so much violence, so much crime, and that is what everybody is watching. All the young brains are absorbing all that, and those tendencies get stored in the mind. In the old time, even when I was not even born, maybe, used to hear from parents, there was a movie in maybe 70s, early 70s or something like that, which showed first time this particular concept was shown. The boy and girl, they run away from the home and get married without taking the permissions of their respective parents. And because of that movie, what was shown in the movie, this trend became so popular that young boys and girls, they following in the footstep of these movie stars, what was shown in the movie, they started to engage in such activity. And this whole trend started. It's very common to learn from what we see, what we hear. So the people need to be educated properly. in Padma Purana, it describes one very beautiful verse describing the whole tendency system, how this action happens, the reaction happen, and what is the root cause of that. Aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalam mukham kramneva prilyate Vishnu bhakti ratatmanah. It describes a system of the sinful reaction starting from the level of ignorance. So there is aprarabdha, which is the reaction which has not manifested yet. Then there is phalan mukham, the prarabdha which has been manifested, which has fructified and it is giving the result now. And then papam, papam is the sinful activity, engaging in a particular activity, karma. And then kutam, kutam is the sinful tendencies which are stored in the heart. And bijam is the sinful desires. So and all this come from ajnanata, ignorance. Because of ignorance, one gets that tendency to commit some, one gets a tendency. Tendency leads to desire. Desire leads to action. Action leads to reaction. And this reaction is either already manifested, prarabdha, or the reaction has not manifested yet, the fructified yet. It is still in a prarabdha stage. For example, a child in a very young age, he is oblivious to all these lusty desires. But as he grows more and more, he comes to the stage of puberty. He comes into such environment where he sees such action or he hears about such thing. His tendencies which are stored in the heart, they awaken up. And because of those tendencies, he also gets a desire to engage in those sort of activities or develop those sort of relationships. And this is very common. We can see all around us. The boys, as they get to high school, these days the kids want to have relationships in high school, the boyfriend, girlfriend. From where all that is coming up? Because the tendencies were there already. It is just awakening up by getting a particular environment, and it gives rise to desire. So how we can curb all that, all this, how the desires to act in a sinful way or the sinful tendencies itself can be eradicated by engaging in the process of bhakti. If somebody takes to the spiritual cultivation of knowledge, spiritual knowledge, and engages in the spiritual activities, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, these all the tendencies, even up to the level of aprarabdha, that can be eradicated completely. So this verse particularly, it describes that as Puranjan approached that woman, she was also attracted towards Puranjan, and they both, because of mutual attraction toward each other, having hands in hands, arms in arms together, they both with mutual understanding enter into the city to enjoy in the company of each other. And that is also is very common. People we see holding hands in hands together, arms in arms. They are walking on the street. Earlier, husband and wife, they at least whatever relationship will have, they will be in the private, not as a public show off. These days, there is no restriction. People are coming to the level of animal tendencies, doing the activities openly on the streets. As a dog engages in such activity with a she dog on the street, he doesn't consider anything, anybody. If somebody is watching, somebody is witnessing them, he just engages in that activity. So same way the human have come to that degraded level. In public, they are kissing each other, hugging each other, not having been concerned who is watching. Sometimes the young boys, young girls, some small kids may be sitting around and watching these, and what kind of impression it gives to those young minds. So there's no restriction in that. Everybody has so much consideration of enjoyment based on one thing, that is physical attraction, sexual engagement. And people consider if we want to maintain a peaceful, happy family life, it means the husband and wife need to have the physical relationship. If there is no physical intercourse, physical relationship, the family life is at risk. That is what the Western culture promotes. If one is not active in sex life, it is considered their family life is not peaceful, their family life is not happy. There is always risk of ending that relationship, because their whole point of staying with each other is to satisfy the mutual desires. Even people get to the old age, to 60s, still the attraction for this physical engagement is so deep rooted. They want to keep getting married again and again, even at that old age. And even if you go to a doctor's office, it's a very common scenario. If you go to a doctor's office for a physical checkup, and the doctor does your thorough routine checkup, and one particular question they ask, how is your libido? What that question means is, how active are you in sexual life? Because the whole point is to be active in that particular activity, to keep your family life going, or to keep yourself happy in life. And throughout their life, people want to engage in this activity. Here it is described. So they both entered into the city, lived for 100 years, enjoying in the company of each other. And the significance of life duration of 100 years is Prabhupada mentioning in the purport that the duration of 100 years of life is very significant. In every sort of human form of life, the life duration is 200 years. Either it is at the Earth planet or at any other planet. Even though there is a relativity of time, the duration of life is mentioned as 100 years. Even for the Brahma lives for 100 years, but his 100 years compared to human calculation is so big calculation. It's like trillions of years based on human calculation on Earth. The same way in Swarga, Indra also lives for his 100 years, and his 100 years also is a big duration of life. There are 14 Indra in one day of Brahma. There is 14 Manvantra in one day of Brahma, and each Manvantra there is a new Indra. Without going into too much details of these descriptions, just briefly mentioning, because Prabhupada just gave a brief introduction of this time calculation in the purpose. So this time calculation is relative. Everybody has 100 years of duration of life based on their planetary system, and they try to live to the fullest extent, enjoy their life to the best of its ability. And actually, Parikshit Maharaj asked this question in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto. Parikshit Maharaj asked this question to Shukdev Goswami. Please describe to me the time calculation from the beginning of the creation to the time of annihilation. What is this time calculation? What is the duration of living entities in different planetary systems? So he also inquired this question in the beginning, which Shukdev Goswami answered in the subsequent verses. So everybody, whatever their life duration is, the consciousness is absorbed so much in enjoyment propensities. They want to enjoy to the fullest extent. The Puranjana, along with the queen of this Navdwarpuri, they both entered in the city. They started living together, husband and wife, and enjoying in the company of each other. And Puranjana, he is described that in the summer season, he will enter into the water reservoirs with many other women and enjoy in their company. So what is described here, the desires to enjoy are so deep-rooted that one person does not feel satisfied with one woman. Even the one woman, after feeling the sense of protection, having the sense of all the basic needs fulfilled from the person, she feels satisfied, But the man nature is so that doesn't feel satisfied. Especially we see in the cases of rich people. In the current scenario, it's very popular. People go to their vacation homes, their clubhouses. People go to the bars and pubs and casinos, and they want to mingle up with many women and enjoy in that company, not being satisfied with one woman, because the training is not there, that the person is trained to live as a brahmacharya ashram and then to live as a householder satisfied with one wife. Because the purpose of householder life is not to engage unrestrictedly in sense enjoyment, but the purpose of householder life, grihastha jivan, grihastha ashram, is also to progress towards the ultimate goal of life. So in the last time also I described the difference in grihastha and grahamedhi. Grihastha is one who is staying in the family life with the wife, with the children, at his home, but still he is progressing towards the ultimate goal of life, which is to develop love for the Supreme Lord. But a Grahamedhi, his whole consciousness is completely absorbed in sense enjoyment, completely absorbed in family life, taking care of wife, taking care of children, taking care of the home, and trying to enjoy it in the best possible ways. That is the difference in a Grihastha and a Grahamedhi. So a Grahamedhi, he wants to enjoy more and more. And people who have the facilities, they don't feel restricted in any way, and they want to enjoy in the company of many women. Even at old age, that attraction for the young girl is so much. People have so much lust in their heart. They look at the young girls with so much of lusty desires. Again, that's why it becomes very important for the woman to dress up appropriately, dress up properly, so she can stay protected from these lusty looks, lusty desires of other people. Because if somebody glances at somebody with particular consciousness, particular looks, that consciousness gets transferred in the person also. A very simple example to understand, when somebody gets an eye infection, right? अगर किसी की आंख आ गई है, जैसे बोलते हैं, किसी की आंख दुख रही है, somebody gets a red eye, one wears a black glasses or cover the eye with the cloth. What is the reason? So that the person, whoever looks at him or whomever he looks at with that infected eye, that person also gets that infection. So if that infection can get transferred by looking at the another person, why not the lusty desires or that lusty consciousness get transferred into the another person when somebody look at other person? So that's why it's very important for the woman to stay protected from these lusty consciousness, lusty desires, to dress up appropriately, keep themselves covered. The olden times, that was the system. The woman will dress up so beautifully, so nicely. She is covered from head to toe. No body part is visible actually. Even in the home, the woman is dressed up appropriately. Even in front of her father-in-law or the adult children, she dresses up appropriately, covering the face also. Because it is so much stressed upon in the scripture that the opposite sex, opposite gender need to stay separated from each other to not arouse these lusty senses, lusty desires. If one engages more and more in these sexual activities, that is more and more entanglement. This is called the shackles of sex life, which keep the person bound within this material life. So having engaged in that sort of activity leads to complete downfall of the person. And we know so many stories from the scriptures which point to that. So here Puranjan is described in that way, that he used to enter in the pools of, in the reservoir of water with many women and enjoy it that way. Another story we hear of is Nalakuvera, right? When we discuss the whole Damodar Leela, in this description come of Nal and Kuver. So Nal and Kuver, who are these two boys? They are the sons of Kuvera, treasurer of the demigods. And because of their wealth, the opulences, they were so polluted, they unrestrictedly engaged in all sort of enjoyment propensity, enjoying with young women, even though they were living at Kailash. They got the close association of Mahadev. Still, because of their polluted consciousness, they did not give any respect to that. They entered into the stream of Mandakini, which is a stream of Ganga, entered into that holy water, enjoying with young women in those waters, spotting in that, singing and kissing each other. So they were engaging in that sort of activity. And at that point, Narad Muni happened to appear from there. Seeing their degraded consciousness, Narad Muni wanted to teach them a lesson. And he cursed them that you are engaged in so degraded, sinful activities, completely naked in the water, enjoying with these young girls. I curse you to become trees who anyways naturally stand naked for so long duration. So Narad Muni, because even though he cursed them to teach them a lesson, but it was his most compassionate behavior towards them to deliver them from that degraded consciousness, uplift them to the level of devotion to the Supreme Lord. And we know what happens next. But the point here, a person who has a lot of opulences, a lot of facilities, for them it becomes too easy to get degraded, get carried away with those thoughts, those consciousness, and engage in such kind of sinful activities. The company of young women, it's a very dangerous unless they are in a marriage relationship. Staying in the company is very much dangerous, and Vyasadeva actually described in a very strong words in the scripture that a person should stay away from the company of young women. Even though a father should not sit close to the daughter on the same seat, because the senses are so strong, they can carry away the intelligence of the person. And one of the student of Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva compiled all this Vedic literature and gave to various sages to become the expert in particular aspects of these Vedas. So one of his students was Jamini Rishi. And Jamini Rishi, when he heard this particular aspect, he was arguing that what is the need to so strongly mention this kind of point? It is the person's responsibility to stay protected, stay away from this thing. Why to mention it like that? And Vyasadeva, to teach him a lesson, he showed another wonderful pastime. It's a very bewildering pastime. So Jamini Rishi was staying in his cottage, in his kutia, and on one very dark night, rainy night, a woman happened to come in front of his kutia, his hermitage. And as this woman knocked on the door, Jamini Rishi opened the door and saw this young woman standing in front of his door. And this young woman, because she was all alone and walking through in the rain, her clothes were all wet. She was completely drenched in the water. And Jamini Rishi saw this woman completely wet. Even though his consciousness, his intelligence was there that one should stay away from the company of young women, and he tried to restrict himself. Externally, he is trying to control his feelings, his emotions. And he, when the young girl asked, "Can you please give me shelter in your hermitage? I am all alone." And there's so much of rain happening. Please give me shelter for the night, and tomorrow morning I will go on my way. And Jamini Rishi was very reluctant actually, knowing the danger of a young woman staying in the same place. He denied the proposal, but the young girl implored Jamini Rishi again and again, please give me protection. Where will I go in this dark night? So Jamini Rishi finally agreed that, okay, you stay inside. So you can go inside the hermitage, stay inside, and I will stay outside. You can lock the door from inside. So this young woman, she went inside, she locked the door, and Jamini Rishi is staying outside to follow the instructions of the scripture to keep himself protected. So as the hours are passing by, time is passing by in the night, the vision of that young girl in that particular state, completely drenched in water, her clothes completely wet, that particular scene was coming again and again in front of his eyes, and his senses are becoming restless. And he became too restless. He wanted to go enjoy in the company of the woman, have a relationship with the woman. And he started knocking on the door. Please open the door. I want to come inside. And the woman told from inside, no, you cannot come inside. It's not appropriate. As you yourself told, the man and woman should not stay together. And I am all alone. So I cannot let you enter. And Jamini Rishi implored again and again, no, I am very much attracted to you. I want to come inside. But the woman did not open the door. Jamini Rishi, his senses were so much agitated, he could not control, and he started finding the way how he can enter inside. So he entered, climbed on the roof of that kutia, which is generally the bamboos and leaves and all, and he entered from there, jumped inside the hermitage and stood in front of the woman and requested to her, I want to have a relationship with you. I want to marry you. Please marry me. Who is this? This is Jamini Rishi, who earlier told Vyasadeva, why you are writing so strongly this kind of statement? So this same Jamini Rishi is now out of control, completely his senses are agitated, and he is requesting the woman, please accept me as a husband so we can live together. And that woman said, actually, from where I come, in our tribal system, there is a custom that the would-be husband has to carry the girl on his back and go around 7 times around his home. And then the girl can accept that boy as a husband. So Jamini Rishi agreed to that proposal also, that yes, you climb on my back, I will go around 7 times on my hermitage, and then we can unite. So he carried that woman on his back, and as he is going around, he completed the 7 circles, and as he stood up, he saw that young woman is nowhere to be seen. And this is a Vyasadeva standing in front of him and smiling. So what was that all that was? That was Vyasadeva's trick to teach a lesson to Jamini Rishi that the senses of a person are so strong, they can carry it away because of the environment in which they are put into. The tendencies which are deep rooted in the heart, they can awaken up as soon as the environment is provided. So all these different narrations from the scripture, they guide us to protect ourselves from these attacks of the senses. And this story which Narad Muni is describing to King Prachinabari, what is this whole story? This is, as I said, allegorical story to convey a message. Right, to whatever extent this story we have read so far in Bhagavatam till text 44. So what is that whole description is, who is this Puranjana, who is this young woman, who are all these servants, who are all this, the umbrella 5-hooded snake on the head, and who is the friend of Puranjana, who is known as Abhigna. So Puranjana is the living entity, and the friend Abhigya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unknown to everybody, who resides in everybody's heart as Paramatma. So the living entity, because of its tendencies, desire to enjoy within this material world, it is roaming around. And the living entity gets a particular type of body based on the particular type of desires to enjoy. And this city, 9-door city, this is the material body, the city of 9 gates. And the girl which comes out of that city, that is actually buddhi, intelligence. So the living entity joins with the intelligence, the subtle senses. He enters into this body and resides in this body, trying to enjoy, occupying this body. And what is this 5-hooded snake? That is the 5 type of life here. Apana, Vayana, Prana. So 5 different type of life here, which is maintaining this body. And the 10 servants accompanying this woman are the 10 senses, 5 karmendriya, 5 jnanendriya. So in association of the intelligence, in association with these senses residing in this body, the living entity want to enjoy. So this is what up to here it is described in indirect way. Narad Muni is going to reveal the secret, who is this Puranjana, at the end to King Prachinabhari when he is bewildered, asking, what was this whole story? Can you tell me what does it really mean? So it is to shake up King Prachinabhari, what you have been doing, enjoying the material senses, material desires. This is of no use. It is binding the person further and further in this material world. And Narad Muni is a very expert preacher. He has many variety of students. He has a student like King Prachinabhari, who was a materialistic king. He has a student like Hunter, Mrighari. He has a student like Ratnakara, who became Valmiki. He has a student like a young boy, Prahlad Maharaj or Dhruva Maharaj. He is a great expert preacher. He preaches going to the level of the person. When he approached Mrighari, the hunter, Mrighari used to half kill the animal and leave them half dead in a painful situation. And when Narad Muni saw this, he was grief stricken and he approached this Mrighari. Why are you killing them like half dead? Kill them fully. Narad Muni immediately did not say, don't kill them, it gives them so much suffering. He actually told them, kill them fully. And this Mrighari is thinking, oh, looks like he is also having same occupation. मेरे जैसा ही occupation इनका भी लगता है ये मेरे से भी ज़्यादा बड़े उस्ताद हैं. And then he inquired, can you tell me more? This is how I have learned from my ancestors how to hunt. Now you are saying don't kill half, kill them fully. Then Narad Muni started giving the instruction when he was more open to hear, and ultimately brought him to the level of giving up his hunting, and Mrighari became a great devotee of the Lord. And that time he was not even willing to harm a single ant. That was a transformation in the heart. Narad Muni, being a expert preacher, he brings up the person to that level of consciousness, becoming devoted to the Supreme Lord. All these descriptions in Bhagavatam are meant to guide us more and more how we can make our lives more meaningful, ultimately fulfilling the purpose of this human form of life. Because getting this human form of life is a rare boon, and having this human form of life, if we just waste it in same sort of activities which are carried out by animals, then there is no use of human life. So that's why hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, all these wonderful description, it purifies the heart. It brings us to the level of engaging in the devotional service of the Lord. And this Srimad Bhagavatam, this is a ripened fruit of all the Vedic literature. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parairishware Sadhyo Hridaya Varudhyate Kartibhi Shushrubhis Takshana. The Srimad Bhagavatam has been compiled by Srila Vyasadeva in his complete maturity. There is no need of any other scripture. Sadhyo Hridaya Varudhyate Kartibhi Shushrubhis Takshana. As soon as somebody becomes attracted to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, want to hear the narrations of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead immediately become manifested in the heart. Sadhyo Hridaya Varudhyate. The Lord is already present in our heart. As we know, He is residing in everybody's heart as Paramatma, as a super soul. But to a conditioned living entity, it is not manifested. We are not able to perceive the presence of the Supreme Lord in our heart. But as soon as we are attracted towards the message of the Lord, we hear the narrations about the Supreme Lord, He immediately reveals Himself in the heart. He becomes erect in our heart. And what does He do by becoming present in our heart? Pravishta karnarandhrain savanam bhava saroruham dhunoti shamalam Krishna salilasya yatha sharat. In second canto of Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj is glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam. He is saying, when we hear these narrations of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord enters into our ears, and through the ears He enters into the heart. Pravishta karana randhrena, through the holes of the ears, the sound vibration enter into the heart, and as it goes deep into the heart, Krishna, what does He do by entering in the heart? Dhunoti shamalam Krishna. He cleanses up our heart. He removes all the impurities which are lying in our heart for so many lifetimes. So that is what Krishna does. He is always willing to give us His mercy, purify us, if we want to move towards Krishna. Hearing the narrations of Srimad Bhagavatam is so wonderful. It can completely purify the heart. And it is described, one should hear the narrations of Srimad Bhagavatam with regularity, with full determination, with full faith, and with full endeavor. And when all these ingredients mix together, then it gives the maximum result. When we hear Bhagavatam with faith, with determination, on a regular basis, it does its magic to purify our senses. And it attracts us to engage more and more in the service of the Supreme Lord. And that process of engagement in the service of the Lord is the process of Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam, chanting the holy name of the Lord, hearing about the Supreme Lord, and remembering the Supreme Lord. And among all these, the best process is chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. By just with this one activity of chanting the holy name, we can derive the ultimate benefit, unlimited benefit. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. So thank you very much. Please forgive me if I spoke anything wrong. Please feel free to correct me. Feel free to add anything.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for enlightening us, for giving us the sight of how the olden days were. The rules, regulation were there, but it was for our beneficial only. How the modern age degradation is happening nowadays in the situation of these today's. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, how the chanting of the holy name is the ultimate benefit of us all. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. So I will request devotees now, if they have any questions or comments for Prabhuji, they can ask now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the class. It is a challenging purport to teach on in this day and age. I just had one question when you were speaking about when you made the analogy to an infection in the eye. I didn't quite understand that. I think you said something about the person who is looking, when they look at someone, that the consciousness is transferred to them. I didn't quite hear you.
The analogy I was giving was when there is an infection in the eye, and that person with infection looks at others in eye to eye, that infection gets transferred in the other person also. It's a very common way of understanding. As I was growing up in India, in our childhood, there is a very common statement we used to hear that if somebody has an infection in the eye, they should keep the eye covered and not look at others, because the infection gets transferred, and people use to wear glasses or cover the eye with some sort of cloth. And the ultimate point to understand is when somebody infection in their own eyes or in their consciousness, when they look at others, that consciousness is transferred in the person who they look at. And the point I was making is, when somebody with that lusty consciousness, which is also like an infection in the eyes, when there is so much lust in the eyes, somebody is looking at the other, let's say a girl or a woman, with that lusty thoughts, lusty desires. So that consciousness has a scope of transferring to the person who is looked at. And that's why it's a very much important for the young girls, women, to keep themselves dressed in a very appropriate way. They should dress up in such a way, even the most of lusty person, when he look at that girl or woman, he should feel, oh no, this is my mother. I should not look at her and with that consciousness. So the dressing sense should be such a way that even a lusty person, his lusty desires, lusty thoughts are curbed by looking at a woman who is so chaste, dressed up so chaste and nicely, covering herself. As we say in the old time, right? The Nari is Shakti, Nari is Durga. A woman is worshipped like a Devi. And why is that? Because of her shyness, because of her chastity. And if those qualities are given up, the woman becomes just an object of enjoyment by others. So in the current education system, this whole system of this teaching, how the boys and girls, they need to stay separated, and the girls should be trained up in that way to stay away from these sort of company of other men rather than mingling up freely with the boys and men. It can give them the complete protection. Does that help, Mataji?
Yes, it does help. Thank you very much for your explanation, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for class. Just one technical question I have. We were talking about prarabdha karma and aprarabdha karma. So my question is, when it comes to aprarabdha karma, let's say that a person is scheduled to experience a particular karma in their present lifetime.
Okay.
And so they're living their life, but that karma has not yet manifest. I don't know, let's say they're scheduled to get hit by a car. I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
But it hasn't happened yet. But it's scheduled to happen in their present lifetime. Would that be considered prarabdha or aprarabdha karma if it has not yet happened in the present lifetime?
So whatever is about to happen in this present lifetime, that still comes as a prarabdha. This lifetime, it all, whatever the reaction are about to come in this lifetime, they come under the category of prarabdha.
Okay, thank you.
We may not be seeing that yet, but the fruit is still there. It is hiding in the tree behind the leaves or something. We are not seeing that fruit yet, but it has fructified. That's why this whole life duration is already planned, right? Our life duration is set. Our circumstances within this life are already determined. The birth situation, in what kind of family somebody is born, what kind of life situation he goes through, and the way of death, time of death, all these sort things are already in one way planned for this life duration. So that is the whole prarabdha.
Mhm. Well, actually, a follow-up has just occurred to me that, we say that devotional service can counteract all karma,
Mm-hmm.
but this prarabdha karma that's scheduled for this present life, I think it does not eliminate that, isn't it? For example, if I'm born with a particular body, the fact that I'm performing devotional service does not erase that. Or I'm born short, I'm born tall, whatever. So how do we understand that
Right.
devotional service eliminates all karma? I mean, I know that if it were to eliminate it completely, we wouldn't be, I wouldn't have a body to perform devotional service with. But how do we understand which karma it eradicates and which it doesn't? I'm trying to reconcile this thing.
So that's a very nice question, very technical question. So yes, as we say, engaging in devotional service, it can destroy all sort of karma, as the verse which I was reading, right, from Padma Purana, which describes that in kramasha, in sequence, it destroys everything, starting from ignorance to the level of aprarabdha karma. So it destroys aprarabdha karma, which has not manifested, which we are yet to experience in the maybe coming lifetimes. And it destroys the sinful tendencies, sinful desires. It destroys the ignorance and phalan mukham, which is prarabdha karma. So to what extent it destroys the prarabdha karma? Because as you said, this body itself is also a result of prarabdha karma, that we have got a particular type of body, birth in a particular type of family. So there is no scope of destroying that one. So when we say destroys the prarabdha karma, is whatever experience or whatever suffering we are supposed to go through because of our current reactions, it gives us the ability to mitigate that suffering. Even though the action will be there or the activity is happening with us, but we get the strength to overcome the experience of that or the suffering associated with that. So it gives us the ability to handle those situations in a much better consciousness, to be able to remove the further karmic reaction happening because of the current activities.
Yeah, and so wouldn't you say that the improved consciousness with which we approach our experiences or our suffering, it mitigates the suffering because we might go through the same experiences, but because we're not approaching those experiences with the consciousness of, let's say, sense gratification, we're approaching those same identical experiences, but with the consciousness of that service attitude. It's that consciousness which mitigates that suffering. Whereas if we had approached the same experience with a desire for sense gratification, even though it's the same experience, but we would have suffered more. Let's say if I went through that car accident, right? A person who
Right.
goes through a car accident, desire for sense gratification, they'll experience more suffering than a person who goes through that same car accident with a service attitude. Is that how the suffering gets mitigated?
Right, so that is correct. Right, so it's a type of consciousness with which we handle that particular reaction happening to us. So giving the scenario of the car accident, let's say. So if somebody not having taken shelter of the devotional service in a general way, he is meeting with his prarabdha of meeting with the car accident. So his level of suffering, experiencing that car accident is much severe, and because of the consciousness he will have at the time of that car accident, at the time of facing that one, will further bound him to the further reactions and further sufferings. Whereas a person who has now taken shelter of the devotion service, he has this right understanding. I am not this body, I am the soul. I am supposed to engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. And with that consciousness, he is facing that particular scenario. So he does not experience that level of suffering and does not further create the further karmic reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, the level of suffering is mitigated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Krishna gives us the strength to handle that same suffering scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So as Prabhupada used to say, right? Prabhupada will also mention sometime, oh, I am having this tingling sound in my ear, that I am hearing this budging sound or something, or he will have some, he will say this, there is pain in the teeth, and the devotee, disciple of Prabhupada may think, oh, maybe Prabhupada is also suffering. So what Prabhupada is saying, yes, this is happening, whatever is happening in the body is there, but I am not suffering. Even though this particular thing may be happening to the body, but there is no feeling of suffering in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever is destined for us within this lifetime, it will come, but the devotee will have the right consciousness to handle those circumstances and not get affected by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the beautiful class, Prabhu. 2 points that really stood out, or what I understood from your class, is one is like the education, and the you spoke about the importance of education and the early marriage. So one thing that I was wondering is like, suppose education we give our children, and so they're nicely educated in a gurukul or in a nice Krishna conscious way, in a Vedic way. But considering today's scenario, one point or the other, they have to be exposed to the rest of the world, where so many people are not trained in the scriptures. So when they are exposed at a certain age, how do they be? I mean, how does whatever training they have got since childhood work, Prabhu?
Right. So the training becomes more important in that scenario, right? If the children are trained from very early age, and in this philosophy, in this mindset, that what are the dangers of the other way of life, mingling up freely, having those sort of illicit relations, what is the outcome of those, and what is the Vedic way of lifestyle. So the training becomes more important, even though in the current scenario, yes, the children, they go to schools, they go to college, this environment is there. But if the right education is given from the beginning, right values are given from the beginning, they will play out their role, right? They will remember, yes, we have been told like that, we should not be freely mixing up like that. The mixing up to a certain extent, whatever it is required in their education work, they have to just limit it to that level, not going beyond that, having the open way of living with each other, or going away from the parents and starting to live independently. So all those sort of things can be still avoided, even though they have to mix up with opposite gender in the current education system. So just one scenario, because the importance of teaching in the young age, it also shows up in this aspect also. If we are teaching the scriptural principles from young age, the principles of Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavatam, teachings of Bhagavad Gita, they get stored in the mind. And more these things are fed in the mind. It is like filling their hard disk. right? So the hard disk is already filled with the nice teachings, nice principles. And when they are exposed to the wrong things, the wrong way of life, immediately their disk system is going to say, oh, no space. Disk is already full. Because they are getting that consciousness is now developed based on those scriptural principles. They will, even after getting exposed to this mundane way of life, they will be able to reject those principles intelligently. Example of a person, he was so much attracted to this rock music. He was exposed from his childhood to the kirtan, playing nice harmonium, mridanga, the nice music of the kirtan. But as he went to the college, in the association of his friends, somehow he got attracted a little bit to this rock music, this rock concerts and all that. And once there was a big rock music show going to happen, some famous music star came, and in a little faraway city. So he made plan with all his friends to go watch that show, music show. So he went there along with all his friends, so much crowd, and everybody is hip hopping and dancing on that beats of the music. And as he was going through that experience, he started to remember the music of the kirtan, the soothing music of the kirtan, the mridanga, harmonium, and compared to this loud, unmeaningful music of this rock band. And he was immediately gave up the attraction towards the rock music and came back to his home. So the point I'm mentioning here is based on the teachings we give to the children from young age, they store, the impressions are stored in their memory. And even though later on they get exposed to the mundane things in their life, they will be able to make intelligent choices. So our way is not to make people as robots. We are giving them the right knowledge, right message from the scripture. Ultimately, they have to make choices. We cannot do anything beyond that. Ultimately, whatever environment or whatever way of life becomes more strongly imposed upon them, they will get attracted to that, no matter how much you or me do something about that. All we can do is to provide the proper education system, proper values. Did I answer your
Yeah.
question, Mataji, or
Yes,
your...
yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Just wanted to. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dhanyavad pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. With your permission, I want to add one point. Prabhuji, my daughter, when she is in 10th grade, there is a graduation here, and before 1 year only we came from abroad, from India, so that from childhood we worship the Laddu Gopal, Shivalabhacharya Pant and Grandma. In short, there is a spiritual atmosphere from childhood, and they both are doing yatra with Radhanath Maharaj, touch to touch Sridham Vrindavan Dham with Brahmachari. Whatever it is, Prabhuji, all of the stories, there was so much strong spiritual atmosphere in the home. And I'm so afraid that when I came abroad, and that is the hormones change to the female. So I'm so afraid that my daughter will lose the spiritual things and see attract by the Mayavi Nagri. But that graduation day, I don't like that my daughter will attend that. But still, I said okay, go and buy such a nice gown and see. And neighbor also worship Jai Shri Krishna, like they are worship Vallabhacharya Pad. So they both went, and within half hours they both come out. So I told, why you come out? Then my daughter said, Ma, that atmosphere is not for me. So moral of the story, Prabhu, that vibrations line is came in our daughters or sons, the spiritual vibration line that she said, Ma, this hookah party and to attract with the sex and all that things is not for me. So that vibration is so strong that we don't have to worried that in this Mayavi Nagri also they are so safe, and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev, they are so, yes, in childhood they more sincerely worship, and after that coming in little effect, they chant little less, but one day they understand that whatever they learn in childhood from grandma, parents, that is real, and by mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Guru, they are not going to turn anywhere, Mataji. Please, this is my own experience. Hari Hari Gauranga, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, such a nice lecture and class. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam to your seva.
Thank you very much, Mataji. That was very nice realization, nice experience to share with everybody. Personal experiences does make a effect on everybody, what we go through. So that's a wonderful experience. That is the whole point, right? When we fill their young brains with that energy, that vibration, that is going to pay off at later. They will themselves reject those mundane things, saying that, oh, we do not fit into these are not for us. They will be having so much taste for the earlier spiritual principle which are taught to them. They will stick to those principles.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, all close to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Wonderful class, Prabhu, and the way you explained the verses, it's really, really very nice. Like with the examples which you gave, it really makes things easy to understand. And at the same time, the same analogies can be given to somebody else when we are explaining it. You gave a very nice insight on it. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. Thanks for dealing with these tough quotes, which was very hard. So, Prabhuji, I just had one technical question. This was about, I've always had this question. As you were talking about our years, average lifespan of humans is of course 100, and even on the upper planetary systems, it is 100, meaning that of course they have their lives, their existence itself is much longer in those planetary systems, but still for them it is from their calculation it is 100. Again, we understand Brahma has 100 years and so on. So as you were making this point, I've always had this question, is that then we also hear that in the previous ages, within the Earth planet itself, like Treta Yuga and the Dwapara and the Krita Yuga and other times, we also hear that they lived for 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000 years according. So is it a similar thing that we should understand, that they didn't really live for so many years, but it is actually like they are 100 years old? How should we take it? Because I do see us, I think they did live for long. We look at how logically Prabhupada has presented it in terms of when he talks about Brahma, he specifically says 100 years. But when he talks about the previous ages, he says that they did have a longer lifespan. So how do you actually understand this? Is the understanding that for them it was, meaning they lived long, maybe like demigods, or what is it, Prabhu? Can you help?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Again, this is also a technical question, as you said. So the meaning of the duration of life in the earlier ages, right? We hear, okay, in Dwapar Yuga, the age duration was maybe 1,000 years, and Treta Yuga, 10,000 years, and like that. So when we hear about the description, it is again in the sense of relativity, that in the previous yugas, the duration of the yuga itself is much longer, and the lifespan is also longer in that way. So it's all in a relative prospect. So not just the duration of life, even the other features also, the bodily features also, the size of the body, the strength, everything is in a relative sense. The size is 8 feet earlier, now it is average 5.5 feet, something like that. So earlier the age duration, when it is mentioned longer, is with respect to the duration of that yuga also.
Okay, so when we say Lord Ram ruled for 11,000 years, it means that the whole of Treta Yuga was so big. So for them, for that case, 11,000 years is nothing.
Right.
Like it's like as good as a king ruling for in Kali Yuga, or a minister in Kali Yuga holding on to his power for probably 30, 40 years, something like that.
Right, exactly, because there the duration of Treta Yuga is how many times more than Kali Yuga? It's 3 times longer. Even though it's 3 times longer, but it becomes much bigger, right? When multiplied by a big number, multiplied by 2 versus 3, the outcome is much bigger. So the duration of the age that time, or the duration of that yuga itself is much bigger. And in that time, the kings will rule for a longer period of time.
Mm.
So all I can say is, again, it is from the relativity point of view.
Mm. Yes, Prabhu. Get it. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thanks for that clarification. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. If
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, if we don't have any question or comments now, we can end the call.
sure, Mataji. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a
Thank you
wonderful
very much
presentation.
for giving me the opportunity. I don't know if, sorry if I spoke anything wrong or could not answer any questions properly. It was a kind of a last minute I was told to give this morning class and did not have any opportunity to go through these verses in much detail. So,
It was so nice. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So we can offer obeisances. So Vancham Kalparubhishya Kripa Sindhu Evcha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Anant Koti Vaishnavand Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai His Grace Adrinath Prabhu Ki Jai.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
It's okay.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat.
It's okay.